Wow, you guys sent us a ton of stuff on burnout this time around. It seems like you're not just trying to avoid it, though.
Yeah.
You want to know what a thriving career really looks like.
You've definitely picked the right resources for that.
Like you said, a real roadmap. Okay, so The Opposite of Burnout seems like the main book here.
Right, and you've got some interesting articles and research to go with it.
So whether you're already feeling burned out or you want to avoid it or just make work better, this deep dive is for you.
I think that line from the book really hits the nail on the head, about starting your week in deficit.
Yeah, pushing for full-bore productivity when you're already running on empty.
Exactly. Burnout isn't just about long hours. It's like this constant state of depletion.
It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach. You know what I mean? No matter how hard you push, you're just not going to have the energy.
And the book lays out these 12 phases of burnout, which is really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have to happen in order.
You might find yourself in a phase you wouldn't expect. I know I did. Some of them are really relatable, though, like compulsion to prove yourself.
Yeah, that one gets me.
You feel like you have to say yes to everything.
Always proving your worth.
Right. And then neglecting your needs. I mean, who hasn't done that? Putting work ahead of sleep, exercise.
Basic self-care.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then there's withdrawal, where you start to, isolate yourself.
Yeah, disengaging from things you used to enjoy.
Have you ever felt any of those?
Absolutely. They're scarily familiar. That's what's so powerful about this book, though. It doesn't just point out the problem, it gives you a way forward.
Yeah.
And it all starts with what the book calls the 5 non-negotiables.
Okay, let's break those down. So first up, nutrition.
That explanation of the Krebs cycle was pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Mind-blowing,
Yeah.
honestly. It shows how, literally, at a cellular level, what you eat affects your energy.
Think of it like this. Your cells need certain nutrients to produce energy.
All right.
And if you're just filling up on junk food and sugary drinks,
It's like throwing sand into a finely tuned engine. It's not going to run smoothly no matter what you do.
exactly.
So if you're starting your day with a donut and a sugary coffee, you're setting yourself up for an energy crash later.
Absolutely.
It makes you realize that eating healthy isn't just about looks. It's about giving your brain and body what they need to function at their best.
Okay, next up, sleep. You remember Daniel from the book? The guy who bragged about only sleeping like 5 hours a night?
Oh, yeah. The guy who ended up being a total mess, obsessing over tiny details while his work suffered.
He was a train wreck.
Yeah.
It just shows that skimping on sleep is like robbing yourself of mental bandwidth.
You know what? That story made me rethink my own sleep habits, to be honest.
I think it got to all of us,
It affects your focus, your memory, your decision-making.
even your mood. And it's not just the quantity, it's the quality of sleep that matters. Getting those deep restorative cycles.
Great to recharging your batteries, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's like trying to run your computer on low battery all the time. Eventually, it's going to crash.
Now, moving your body. This one's great. It's not about forcing yourself into some crazy workout routine you hate.
The book doesn't say you have to hit the gym every day. It's more about finding ways to move that you actually enjoy,
Exactly.
whether it's walking, dancing, gardening, whatever. The point is to make it something you look forward to,
It's about listening to your body and finding what feels good.
not just another chore on your to-do list.
And the amazing thing is, even small amounts of movement can make a huge difference. Your energy, your mood, even how well you think.
Like hitting the refresh button on your brain.
Oh,
Okay, next up, stress management. Did you know that chronic stress can actually make you age faster?
it's true. Up to 10 years, they say.
When you're constantly stressed, your body's pumping out all this cortisol.
And that can wreak havoc on your health. Your sleep, your digestion, your immune system.
Even your brain function.
That's why the book emphasizes finding healthy ways to manage that stress, whether it's meditation, deep breathing, spending time in nature.
Or even just connecting with loved ones.
Absolutely.
Like giving your nervous system a break. And finally, mindset. I think this one really hit home for me.
Me too.
The book argues that we all have a pre-existing mindset, right?
Yeah.
And it might be holding us back without us even realizing it.
We're not always aware of the thoughts and beliefs that are shaping our experiences.
But by becoming more aware of that inner voice, we can start to challenge those limiting beliefs.
The book calls it cultivating a success mindset.
Yeah.
It's like upgrading your operating system.
And the cool thing is, our brains are super adaptable. With consistent effort, we can actually rewire our brains for more positivity and resilience.
It's about choosing thoughts and beliefs that empower you.
So we've covered a lot here. What are your initial thoughts? What's resonating with you the most?
Well, this next strategy from the book takes things to a whole new level. We were just talking about mindset, and that actually leads perfectly into this next strategy from the book, personal branding. I know that term can feel kind of like a buzzword,
Oh, yeah.
but this book goes so much deeper.
It really does. It's not just about, crafting that elevator pitch or having a killer LinkedIn profile.
Right.
It argues that true personal branding is about aligning your work with your values and passions.
It's about defining your mission.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
What are you uniquely good at? What problems are you passionate about solving? What impact do you want to have on the world?
Exactly. And, the book gives this great example of a woman who combined her background in health and safety with her love of cats.
No way.
I know, right? She ended up starting this whole business consulting on feline-friendly workplaces.
So you don't necessarily have to quit your job to pursue your mission.
Right.
You can find ways to weave it into your existing work.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Be creative. Find those intersections between your passions and your skills. Speaking of alignment, the book also has this really interesting take on organization.
Okay.
It's not just about being tidy. It's about aligning your time, space, and tasks with your brand and your goals.
Mindful organization.
Exactly. And they break it down into 3 areas: time, space, and tasks. Let's start with time. Remember that grid of time the book talks about?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the simple reminder that we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Right.
The key is to stop seeing time as this limited resource that's controlling us and start choosing how we spend it.
Taking ownership of your calendar.
Exactly, and it completely debunks that whole busy badge of honor.
Oh, I hate that.
It's not about how much you cram into your day. It's about being intentional and focusing on what truly matters.
Yeah.
Which leads us to understanding your energy levels.
The time states concept.
Yes.
I loved that the book argues that we all have these natural energy peaks and valleys throughout the day.
We do.
And instead of fighting against them, we can actually use them to our advantage.
Totally.
Like scheduling your most demanding tasks during your peak times.
Exactly.
Saving the less demanding stuff for when you have less energy.
It's like working with your body's natural rhythm instead of against it. And then there's that whole multitasking thing, which the book just totally debunks.
Yeah. It's amazing how much research shows that multitasking actually makes us less productive.
Our brains just aren't wired to juggle multiple tasks at once.
When we try to do too many things at once, we end up making more mistakes.
And it takes us longer.
It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake.
You're not going to get very far, and you're just going to wear yourself out.
The book really encourages us to focus on one task at a time. Give it our full attention, and then move on to the next thing.
Be fully present with each task. Okay, so we talked about time. What about space?
Yeah, how does mindful organization apply to, our physical workspace?
Well, the space relations section is all about creating a work environment that supports your energy and focus.
Right.
And it starts with decluttering, both physically and digitally.
Oh, man, I'm so guilty of this. My desk is a magnet for clutter.
But clutter bombards us with all these visual distractions.
That's true.
And that drains our mental energy.
Makes it harder to focus.
It's like trying to think clearly in a room full of noise and chaos.
Yeah.
But when you clear the clutter, whether it's physical stuff or digital files, you create this sense of calm.
That makes it.
And it allows your mind to relax and focus.
So once you've decluttered, how do you actually make your workspace more supportive?
Well, the book suggests thinking about what inspires you, what energizes you. Do you need natural light, plants, inspiring artwork, maybe a comfy chair, a dedicated space that's free from distractions?
Create a space that feels good to be in.
Exactly, a space that reflects you and the work that you want to do.
Like a sanctuary for your creativity.
Yes. And finally, tasks. How do we apply mindful organization to the actual work we have to do?
Right.
The book really emphasizes having a system for managing tasks. It doesn't really matter what system you use,
Okay.
as long as it works for you and keeps you from feeling overwhelmed. The key is to get those tasks out of your head,
Right.
put them on paper or into some kind of digital system.
So you can free up your mental space.
Exactly. You can use that for creative and strategic thinking.
It's like having a personal assistant keeping track of all the details so you don't have to.
Exactly. And the book also talks about prioritizing tasks.
Oh, yeah, making sure you're focusing on the most important stuff.
Right. And letting go of the things that just aren't that important. And they actually present two different approaches to task management. You've got the Stephen Covey way, which is all about identifying your most important roles and goals.
Okay.
And then there's the David Allen way, which is about capturing and processing every single task that comes your way.
So find what works for you.
Exactly. Find the approach that resonates with you and your work style. So we've covered time, space, and tasks. It's amazing how much mindful organization can really impact our energy and productivity.
It really is. But what about, the social side of work? How do we manage those relationships and create an environment that supports our well-being?
That's a great question. And that leads us perfectly into the next essential strategy from the book: smart communication.
We were just talking about smart communication and how important that is, especially when it comes to, creating a more positive work environment.
And a productive one, too. It's amazing how much our interactions with other people can impact our well-being, especially at work.
For sure. The book makes a good point, though, that communication is a skill.
Right, like any other skill.
And it can be learned and developed.
It's not about being like a naturally gifted speaker or anything. It's about being intentional, practicing.
So we're not stuck with our current communication habits.
Exactly. We can get better with practice and effort.
That's really encouraging. But it's more than just conveying information, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's also about building those relationships and connections, inspiring people to take action.
It's a two-way street. You have to listen actively, be empathetic, try to understand other people's perspectives.
Totally. And that's where authenticity comes in, which the book talks a lot about.
Being real, honest, vulnerable even.
It creates a space for genuine connection.
And trust.
So important. And, the book has some helpful guidelines for, practicing authentic communication.
Like what?
Like assuming positive intent,
Okay.
Being clear and consistent in your communication, focusing on solutions instead of blame.
That makes sense. And there's that whole section on the approval trap, right?
Oh, yeah.
The idea that we're so afraid of disappointing people.
Or upsetting them, so we just keep doing things we don't want to do.
But the book argues that sometimes you have to risk disapproval.
To stay true to yourself and your values.
It's about setting those healthy boundaries.
And recognizing it's okay to say no.
Which can be so hard.
It is. But the book gives this really helpful formula for saying no, effectively, without feeling guilty or like you have to apologize.
Oh, that's good. How does that work?
You just have to be clear, firm, and offer alternative solutions when you can.
That's great. Taking ownership of your time. And what about the spiral technique?
Oh, that's a good one. It's a way to turn around those difficult conversations.
Finding that common ground.
Yeah. It's a 4-step process that helps you pause, reflect, shift your perspective, and communicate in a way that's more likely to get you a positive outcome.
I like that, like a roadmap for those tough conversations. But what about situations where you can't just say no?
That's a good question. Like when your boss asks you to do something that conflicts with your other commitments.
Exactly.
Well, the book offers a strategy for that, too. It's about reframing the conversation in a way that lets you negotiate your priorities.
Okay.
Without being disrespectful or disloyal.
Finding a win-win.
Exactly. Being assertive, not aggressive.
And advocating for yourself while still maintaining those good relationships.
Absolutely. And the book also has some good advice on influencing others, which is such a crucial skill if you want to make things happen.
It is.
It starts with what they call the platinum rule.
Which is?
Treating others how they want to be treated, not how we would want to be treated.
That's interesting.
It's recognizing that everyone has different communication styles and preferences, so we have to adapt our approach.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Exactly. The book also talks about, building relationships, networking effectively, and mastering persuasion.
Being clear about your goals.
Articulating your ideas in a way that's compelling and getting people excited about your vision.
I like that.
And, it reminds us that leadership isn't about your title.
It's not.
It's about influence and the ability to inspire others to take action.
That's a good point. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from personal branding and mindful organization to smart communication and leadership. But before we wrap up this deep dive into the opposite of burnout, let's just distill it all down.
Yeah, good idea.
10 key takeaways that you can actually use.
Here we go.
Okay, number 1, burnout is more than just being tired. It's a state of chronic depletion, and it can look different for everyone.
Number 2, the 5 non-negotiables: nutrition, sleep, movement, stress management, and mindset. Those are the foundation.
Make them a priority.
Absolutely. Number 3, define your mission. Align your work with your values and your passions. It'll give you a sense of purpose.
Number 4, practice mindful organization. Align your time, your space, and your tasks with your goals and your energy levels.
Number 5, master smart communication. Be intentional, authentic, and empathetic.
Build those strong relationships and, learn to navigate those tough conversations.
Number 6, remember, communication is a skill, and you can get better at it. Invest the time and effort, and don't be afraid to ask for feedback.
Number 7, break free from that approval trap. Set those boundaries, and remember, it's okay to say no.
Number 8, that spiral technique is powerful. Use it to turn those challenging conversations into opportunities for growth.
Number 9, the platinum rule. Treat others how they want to be treated.
Understand those different communication styles and adjust your approach.
And number 10, leadership is not about your position. It's about influence.
Inspire others to take action.
There you have it. 10 takeaways from our deep dive into the opposite of burnout. Hopefully you've got some tools and inspiration to create a career and a life that is truly fulfilling.
Remember, the power to create the opposite of burnout is in your hands.
Choose to invest in your well-being, make those mindful choices, and build a career that aligns with your passions.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving.